we've talked a lot about teens, and with basically the loss of sex education in this country, Planned Parenthood peer educators across America have become like the Underground Railroad of sex education. They're sort of like, they're the front lines giving kids information they can't get anywhere else. So the last question is from Melissa Carrera from Anacostia, who's a peer educator at the Ophelia Egypt Clinic.
Buenas tardes. My name is Melissa Carrera. I'm 17 and I've been actually working as a peer educator with Planned Parenthood Metropolitan of Washington for 2 years. Getting real sex education for my generation is not only about preventing teen pregnancy, but also about reducing the rates in sexually transmitted infections and HIV/AIDS. With the AIDS case rate in DC being 10 times the national average, what will you do to make sure that schools and programs like mine are encouraged to teach medically accurate, age-appropriate, and responsible sex education?
Well, first of all, I want to congratulate you for your participation and your leadership. And you know, all across the country. Step number one, I'm an original co-sponsor of the Prevention First Act, which will provide money for comprehensive and medically accurate, age-appropriate sex education in the schools. Now, keep in mind that we've been in this fight. You know, Pam and I, back in Illinois, when I was the chairman of the healthcare committee, helped to push through legislation. And I remember Alan Keyes. I ran against Alan Keyes. But I remember him using this in his campaign against me, saying Barack Obama supports teaching sex education to kindergartners. I don't know what to tell him. But it's the right thing to do. To provide age-appropriate sex education, science-based sex education in the schools. You, as a peer, can have enormous power over your age cohort, but you've got to have some support from the schools. You certainly shouldn't have to be fighting each and every instance by providing accurate information outside the classroom, because inside the classroom, the only thing that can be talked about is abstinence. And keep in mind, look, I honor and respect young people who choose to delay sexual activity. I've got 2 daughters, and I want them to understand that sex is not something casual. And that's something that I think we definitely want to communicate and should be part of any curriculum. But we also know that when the statistics tell us that nearly half of 15 to 19-year-olds are engaging in sexual activity, that for us to leave them in ignorance is potentially consigning them to illness, pregnancy, poverty, and in some cases death. And that's absolutely unacceptable. So some of this is legislative, but some of it is also having a president who's willing to talk about these issues in an honest and reasonable way. The longer I'm in this race for the presidency, the more I realize that so much of leadership is about using the bully pulpit to frame the issues in a way that allows us to draw on the best impulses of the American people. And the one thing that I want to insist on is that as I travel around the country, the American people are a decent people. Now they get confused sometimes. They listen to the wrong talk radio shows, watch the wrong TV networks. But they're basically decent, they're basically sound, they're making decisions, trying to figure out what's best for our children. And that is something that I think spans party, and we just have to make sure that the bitter ideological debates that are taking place here in Washington are not mistaken for how the American people think. In fact, they're fed up with it, they're tired of it. And they want to give young people like you, who are showing leadership and wisdom and are trying to sort yourselves, sort your ways through a sometimes difficult and confusing world, they want to give you the best possible chance. And that's what I want to encourage as President of the United States. Thank you very much, everybody.